Welcome back to Important Updates, global news without the noise. Subscribe to stay updated. I'm sure you've heard the news, but what's unfolding tonight in the Middle East is unlike anything we've seen before. The Middle East sky is a crossroads for the world, a place where ancient trade routes once met and where today, the ambitions of global powers intersect. Under the cover of darkness, the region becomes a stage for high-stakes maneuvers, watched by millions across the globe. But tonight, something new is unfolding. An event that could reshape the balance of power in ways few could have predicted. From the west, a US C-17 Globemaster descends into Israel, carrying a top general, a clear show of alliance and readiness. The arrival is not just a routine visit, it's a message to allies and adversaries alike that the United States stands firmly with its partners in the region, prepared for whatever may come. The air is thick with tension. This arrival signals strength, determination, and a willingness to act if necessary. Every movement is watched, every gesture analyzed. Simultaneously, from the east, 16 Chinese Y-20 military transports approached Iran, their engines echoing across the desert. The scale and timing of this deployment are unprecedented. These are not routine flights, they're a bold statement from China, supporting Iran at a critical moment. The world's second-largest military power is making its presence felt, signaling a new level of commitment to its allies. The world is watching as two superpowers draw lines in the sand, their military hardware and political will on full display. The stakes have never been higher. For years, the Iran crisis was about sanctions and proxy wars, a shadow conflict fought through economic pressure and regional surrogates. Diplomats and analysts debated, but the world's armies stayed at arm's length. Now, China's direct military intervention has changed the script. The arrival of boots on the ground and planes in the sky marks a turning point, one that could escalate tensions far beyond the region. What was once a regional standoff is now a global confrontation, with the world's most powerful nations facing off in a place already scarred by decades of conflict. The silent descent of these aircraft marks a new, more dangerous chapter. The world holds its breath, uncertain of what the next dawn will bring. The stakes are higher, and the path to peace is harder to see. Diplomats scramble, leaders confer, but the sense of foreboding lingers in the air. The sky itself seems divided, reflecting the fractures on the ground. Each cloud, each shadow, hints at the uncertainty and danger that now define the region. The world holds its breath as a new era begins, one where the actions of a single night could echo for generations to come. China's airlift of 16 military cargo planes to Iran marks a dramatic and unprecedented escalation in the region's power dynamics. Never before has China projected its military support so openly and on such a large scale in the Middle East. These massive planes are packed with some of the most advanced air defense and electronic warfare systems China has ever exported, directly challenging Western air superiority and sending a clear message to rivals in the region. The technology on board can jam enemy radars, disrupt communications, and even blind incoming smart weapons, making any potential attack on Iran far riskier and more complicated for adversaries like the US or Israel. This move signals that China is no longer just an economic partner to Iran. It's now stepping up as a direct military backer, providing not just equipment but also expertise and strategic support. Intelligence sources suggest the shipments may also include sophisticated missile components and access to China's Beidou satellite navigation system, which would dramatically boost Iran's precision strike capabilities and battlefield awareness. Why is China making this bold move now? Iran is a critical link in China's Belt and Road Initiative and a key supplier for its growing energy needs. Securing Iran's stability is essential for China's long-term economic and strategic ambitions. With tensions rising and the threat of war looming, China knows that any conflict would endanger its interests. By arming Iran, it's raising the stakes and making any US or Israeli military action far more costly and uncertain. Through this unprecedented arms transfer, China is not only protecting its own strategic ambitions, but also directly challenging America's long-standing dominance in the region, signaling a new era of great power competition in the Middle East. This is a clear sign of a deepening alliance between Beijing and Tehran, one that could reshape alliances and rivalries across the region. The balance of power in the Middle East is shifting rapidly, with new players and new alliances emerging on the world stage. The world is watching closely, and recalculating its strategies, as this bold move by China sends shockwaves through global capitals and financial markets alike. As Chinese planes land in Tehran, U.S. General Brad Cooper meets Israeli officials, a public show of unity. For years, the U.S. and Israel have countered Iran together, relying on technological superiority. China's delivery of advanced systems threatens that edge, making any strike on Iran far more complicated. The timing is provocative, a direct response to U.S. posturing. This tit-for-tat escalation pushes the region closer to conflict. Now, U.S. and Israeli planners must contend with an Iran backed by a global superpower. The crisis is no longer bilateral, it's a complex chess match with global stakes. Every move risks miscalculation and uncontrollable escalation. The old playbook no longer applies. The stakes have never been higher. China isn't acting alone. Russia is also ramping up support for Iran. Together, China, Russia, and Iran are forming a new strategic bloc to challenge U.S. dominance. They're building alternative trade systems, sharing military technology, and backing each other diplomatically. For Iran, this means real resilience against sanctions and isolation. An attack on Iran could now provoke a response from Moscow or Beijing. The Iran crisis is no longer regional. It's a global power struggle. The Middle East is now a key arena for this great power competition. The world is shifting from U.S. unipolarity to a multipolar contest. Washington can no longer dictate events without facing real opposition. Military tensions are matched by economic warfare. The U.S. threatens 25% tariffs on any country trading with Iran, aimed squarely at China. This forces Beijing to choose between U.S. trade and its partnership with Iran. China vows retaliation, risking a new cycle of tariffs and counter-tariffs. At the heart of this is oil. China needs Iranian energy, and U.S. sanctions threaten that supply. The U.S. isn't just targeting Iran's nuclear ambitions, it's trying to control global energy markets. Every economic move has military implications, and vice versa. China's support for Iran is leverage in trade talks. U.S. tariffs are leverage against China's ambitions. The conflicts are now deeply intertwined. The result? A multi-front confrontation with no easy solution. The world economy hangs in the balance. The technology China is sending to Iran is a game-changer. Advanced air defense systems could turn Iranian airspace into a fortress, deterring U.S. and Israeli jets. Electronic warfare gear can jam satellites, disrupt communications, and blind smart weapons. Iran, with China's help, gains powerful asymmetric advantages. This isn't just about preventing war, it's about shifting the military balance in the Middle East. China is making Iran too dangerous to attack easily, protecting its own interests and investments. For the U.S. and Israel, this upends years of planning based on air superiority. Any conflict now would be longer, bloodier, and far more unpredictable. China hasn't just sent weapons, it's sent uncertainty. The Pentagon and Tel Aviv are forced to rethink everything. The rules of the game have changed. The Iran crisis is no longer just a Middle Eastern problem. China and Russia's direct involvement has turned it into a global battleground. Now, any U.S. or Israeli strike on Iran risks a response from Beijing or Moscow. The potential for escalation is real. A regional war could spiral into a global conflict. Covert arms shipments and intelligence operations add to the tension. Every move is scrutinized for signs of shifting power. Diplomacy is now a four-way negotiation. Washington, Tehran, Beijing, and Moscow. Any deal must satisfy all the major players. The Iran crisis is a test of the new global order. Regional disputes can no longer be isolated from great power rivalry. The world is more interconnected and more dangerous than ever. The stakes are global. The outcome will shape the future. Why should you care about a distant crisis in the Middle East? Because the world is connected, and this conflict could hit you directly. The Middle East controls a third of global oil exports. War would disrupt this flow, spiking prices everywhere. Higher energy costs mean more expensive goods, food, and travel. A major conflict could trigger a global recession, affecting jobs and savings worldwide. Worse, with China and Russia involved, a regional war could escalate into a nuclear standoff. The world's powers are playing with fire. This is more than a headline, it's a test of global stability. The outcome will affect security, the economy, and the future of international relations. The stakes are high for everyone, everywhere. The world is watching and waiting. As of January 29, 2026, the region is on a knife's edge. The air is thick with uncertainty, and every move is watched by the world. The Middle East, long a crossroads of conflict and diplomacy, now faces one of its most perilous moments in recent memory. US and Chinese aircraft have delivered their messages. Tensions are at a peak. The skies are crowded with power, each side demonstrating resolve and capability, sending unmistakable signals to both allies and adversaries. Diplomacy is frantic but fraught with threats and ultimatums. Behind closed doors, negotiators race against time, their conversations laced with suspicion and urgency. Every word, every gesture could tip the balance. The US pushes maximum pressure. Iran, now backed by China and Russia, doubles down on resistance. The stakes have never been higher, as alliances harden and lines are drawn deeper in the sand. The new military hardware gives Tehran confidence to withstand and retaliate. Advanced missiles and cutting-edge technology are paraded as symbols of defiance, fueling national pride and determination. Both sides believe they can outlast the other, creating a dangerous stalemate. Commanders on both sides prepare for every scenario, convinced that time and resolve are on their side. The risk of miscalculation grows daily. One wrong move, one misunderstood signal, could ignite a conflict no one truly wants. But everyone is preparing for. The only way out is determined, inclusive diplomacy, now requiring China, Russia, and Europe at the table. The world's major powers must find common ground, setting aside rivalries for the sake of stability. The challenge: step back from the brink without losing face. Pride and politics threaten to derail progress, but the cost of failure is unthinkable. Compromise is hard, but essential. The future is unwritten, and every day without agreement increases the risk. Time is running out, and the world watches for a breakthrough. The choices made now will decide if this is a story of catastrophic war, or a hard-won peace. The consequences will echo for generations, shaping the fate of millions. The world holds its breath, hoping that wisdom will prevail over pride, and that leaders will choose dialogue over destruction.